Hi everyone, welcome to Saige's Garage. I'm finally back. I have to start off by thanking you all for being so patient with me while you waited along for me to post something again. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I have just been really discouraged and honestly embarrassed. I have not posted on this channel since October and it's currently March, which is way too long. There are a few reasons for it, but the main ones being I have been so discouraged about this project. Honestly, so many things have gone wrong and I didn't buy this car thinking it was going to be a project car, and so I really was not anticipating any of this, which is not to say that any of it's a bad thing. It is an incredible learning experience and I'm super grateful for it, and I'm even more grateful for all of you watching. But because of all the roadblocks, I just had to take a step back. I didn't do it on purpose. If I would have done it on purpose, I would have let you guys know beforehand. I didn't mean to take this long of a break, it just kind of happened. I have still been all over the internet. I've been focusing a lot on my other YouTube channel, Saige, and I've been doing TikTok, Instagram, that whole thing. I also started a new job recently, and so I've been focusing on that as well. And within that, I've been doing tons and tons and tons of traveling, so I've only been home for basically like a week out of every month anyways. As it got longer and longer since I've posted, I found it harder and harder to get myself to post something, just because honestly I am embarrassed that it's taken me this long to work on this car and get it running, and so I'm being so honest, that's why. Now, I will say something that really did affect me posting is I actually filmed a bunch of videos a few months ago and I was really excited to get them out to you guys. And you know, I was on a kick of working on the car a lot and at the machine shop, but then I actually lost all of the audio to my video. Thankfully, I only lost the audio to one of the videos. Basically, my microphone was not properly plugged in, and I didn't know how to go about editing a video that had literally no audio. This is that video. I decided I am just going to voice over the whole thing and try and explain to you as best I can what we did that day. Just a warning, this video is going to be extremely boring and definitely not like any of my other videos, because I'm basically just gonna try and explain the things that we're doing, and none of it is actually in the moment because all the audio is gone. I do have to look at the positives though. I do still have the footage, and that's important. Once again, I am very sorry that it's taken me this long. I am now newly motivated to work on the car. It's getting warmer and I'm really hoping to have it on the road for the summer. I hope you all get to see it, and big things are happening behind the scenes. I just haven't been posting about them. If you guys have missed me at all though, check out my other YouTube channel, Saige, because there is lots of new content on there. In today's video, we work on the cylinder head, which is really exciting, and we actually got a ton of work done on it. So without further ado, here's today's video. We decided that I needed new valve guides, so we got those and we installed them, and he'd already done some reaming on them, but we were kind of just doing the finishing touches here and checking the intake and exhaust valves, and as you can see, that one was super stiff and a few of them definitely needed a bit more work. So we used a reamer on all the valve guides, and then, you know, we did a little extra on those ones that were pretty stiff. So I'll go ahead and show you our process of doing that and then double checking to see how the valves were looking. Our next step after that was honing the valve guides, and so he was basically showing me how that works, and it basically explained to me that it creates little sort of sections in the valve guide so that they can hold more oil, and that way the valve can move more smoothly, which I thought was very interesting to learn, and it definitely makes sense. The next step was dealing with the valve seats, and as you can see here, they're not horrible, but definitely not great. You can see the little nicks and edges there that shouldn't be there, and it just kind of looks all around dull and rough. We went ahead and used a grinding stone to really grind down those valve seats and make them smooth and shiny, and that way air can flow much better through them, and then obviously that will make the engine run smoother. Now, one thing that was really cool is we didn't just do one angle, We actually did 3. So we did a 45-degree angle to start, and then we added 30-degree angle and 60-degree angle, and that is again just to make it a smoother curve, and that way the air can flow through it better, which I thought was super cool to learn about because it makes sense with the efficiency of air, but just something that I wouldn't have thought of on my own. But another thing that's really cool is Dan actually let me do some of this work, so I'm sure you'll see in a moment, but I actually got to do some of this on my own, which was super cool because not only was I there getting to watch, he was also teaching me, and then I was also getting hands-on experience. So this is super valuable and I really appreciated it. What we did actually is we dressed the grinding stone to get to the correct angle, and so basically we were just grinding down the grinding stone to make sure that it was the exact angle that we wanted, and with us doing those 3 different angles, we used 3 different grinding stones. Our valve seats are looking pretty great now. As you can see, they're really shiny, super smooth, and all around just much better. So what we want to do next is just do a little double check. And so we put some Prussian blue on the valve seats, and then that way we could see if there was any low spots, if there was any dull spots still, any little nicks or anything, and that way it would show us if there was anything else we needed to grind off. The next step is lapping in the valves, and that's another double check, and this is to make sure that everything's smooth, but more importantly, it's to check and see if it seals everywhere. So we went ahead and applied it on the valves, and then we put the valves where they needed to go, and then we did a little spinny motion here to make sure they were sealed together as they would be in the engine, and then once we took them apart, if there was any blue left over, we could see where it didn't seal. And unfortunately, I did explain it to you all thoroughly on camera, but the audio is gone. So you just get me explaining now, like 4 months later. 100% it was all good. They sealed perfectly. There was no blue left over. And really, they were just perfect. So we got to move on to a big step that was really exciting, and that was decking the head. And so to start off, we just lightly filed the edges of the head just to make sure that when it was in the head planer, it sat completely flat, completely flush and level, because if there was a little lumpy bumpy, it would not deck the head flat, basically, or parallel, and that would be a very big problem. It's super important to make sure that the head is perfectly square and level, because if the top gets filed and it's not level, then that would be a big problem, and it would be crooked and an angle, and that would mess up everything. So we spent a lot of time setting it up. We used a level, we used clamps, and we just made sure it was perfectly square to the grinding bits, and that way it would deck it evenly. I found this process so cool. I'm so glad I got to see it in person and learn about it because I love how it took the head from looking so old and gross to shiny and new, and I'm also glad that it's gonna help my engine run better or run at all and help it be more efficient and run smoothly. All those good things. We ended up doing a few passes, but we didn't want to do too many. However, it was really cool to see each pass where the low spots were, and you could really see that when it was like the first pass. And it was just interesting because it would be like dull in some spots, shiny in some spots, and it's just something that you can't really tell just by looking at it. I mean, at least I can't tell just by looking at it, but seeing the machine, take off the top part, but it wasn't the full layer. I don't know how to say it, but it was just very, very, very cool. So like I said, we did go over it a couple times, and in the end, there were some very, very, very small, subtle scratches and nicks, but we decided that they weren't in important spots, and either way, they will get fully covered when the head gasket is there, and that will ensure that there is no leaking once my engine is in, and that is the big problem that we have with the Range Rover, is that the head gasket went and fluids were leaking everywhere. So we really wanted to make sure that that didn't happen with this one. Obviously, that's a big deal. But we made sure that any small scratch there was, it would be totally covered by the head gasket. But we didn't want to go too low because the more we take off now, the less there is to take off in the future if I ever need to redo it or anyone else. So it's definitely a good thing we stopped where we did, but also we got off everything that we needed to. Now that the cylinder head was decked, the last step of the day was to thoroughly clean everything, and it's really great that he has an industrial washing machine because that way things get actually properly cleaned, which is exciting. You are going to be really mad at me for this next thing though. I have 2 flywheels and I was storing them to the best of my abilities. They were in my garage and I thought that that was safe enough and that they were all good to go. But you're going to be really mad at me, and you have every right to be. I don't even know how it got so bad. I honestly didn't even know that this was an option. So it is really sad and really embarrassing because, yeah, this just should never happen. We are going to be using the good one though, obviously, so we popped it in the washing machine along with my exhaust manifold and my intake manifold. Now, also my intake manifold, unfortunately, it is a bit damaged, you will see, and that is from my dad and I trying to take it off the block originally. Obviously, we know better now, we learned our lesson, but it is definitely unfortunate that we did that, but obviously we never meant to. We just didn't have the right tools and the right knowledge, but now we'll be good. We also went ahead and pressure washed everything just to get every last bit of gunk off. While I was waiting for the washing machine, I saw this jag head that was being glass bead blasted, and I just thought that was so cool. I had no idea that was a thing, and it was just such an interesting process to see. I didn't see it being done, but it was very cool just to see that whole chamber, and I didn't even know that was a thing, so a good thing to learn. I hope you guys enjoyed that as best you could. Again, I'm sorry about the voiceover, and I'm sure I had to add lots of music in between that, but thank you for sticking with me, and thankfully, as of right now, I still have the audio for the next video, so I'm gonna get started on editing that for you. I hope to be posting on this channel more consistently, and I hope that a lot happens to this car. Thank you all again for sticking with me, and I'm thanking you in advance for your understanding that I took so long a break. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!